All right. Welcome to our deep dive today. We're going deep on
Yeah.
oxytocin. You sent this over to me.
Yes.
And I have to admit, I thought I had a pretty good understanding of oxytocin,
Yeah.
but this was fascinating.
Hell is.
So much more to it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, everyone kind of knows oxytocin
Right.
as the love hormone,
Yeah, the love hormone, the cuddle hormone.
the cuddle hormone, right?
Exactly.
But it sounds like there's a lot more to it than that.
Absolutely. There's a lot more to it than just those warm and fuzzy feelings.
So let's start kind of the basics. Like, what is it?
Okay, so oxytocin, it's a hormone that's produced in the hypothalamus,
Okay.
which is a small but mighty part of the brain. And then it's released by the pituitary gland.
Right, and the pituitary gland is like
The master gland.
the master gland,
It
exactly.
controls so many other hormonal processes.
It's like the control center for hormones, so it's really important.
Yeah, so we've got the hypothalamus,
Yeah,
the pituitary gland, and this oxytocin is being released
that's right.
throughout the body.
So I knew that it was
Yeah.
involved in things like childbirth and breastfeeding.
Mm-hmm.
But this source was talking about some other really interesting things like reducing stress.
Yes.
And I didn't really understand how that worked.
So oxytocin actually interacts with the amygdala, which is the fear center in the brain.
Okay.
And studies have shown that it can actually inhibit the activity of the amygdala,
Yeah.
leading to like a calmer physiological response to stress.
So it's like it's calming our fear.
Exactly. It's like putting a gentle hand on the shoulder of your fear center
Wow.
and saying everything is all right.
I like that.
You can relax.
Okay, so it's doing all these things. And I was curious about, like, how does one hormone do all these different
Yeah,
things?
well, we actually have different types of oxytocin receptors
Okay.
throughout the body. So depending on where it binds, it can have different effects.
Okay, so it might be promoting bonding in the brain,
Right.
but it could be regulating blood pressure in the heart.
Okay.
Interesting.
So it's really quite fascinating how it works.
So how can we get more of it?
That's a great question. Well, there are actually a lot of simple things you can do
Okay.
to naturally boost your oxytocin levels,
Like what?
like physical touch,
Okay.
hugging a loved one, getting a massage.
Okay, things
on-
like that. So it's not even just this touch itself, but it's that connection.
Right. It's the sense of connection and trust.
I see. What else?
Social interaction is really important.
Okay.
Spending time with loved ones,
Yeah.
engaging in deep conversations, acts of kindness, generosity, all of those can stimulate oxytocin.
You know, I've always felt really good after I, like, volunteer or help
Yeah.
somebody out.
Yeah.
Maybe that's part of it.
I think that's a great example. It really shows how we're wired for connection.
Okay, so what about if you're not? With other people, what if you're by yourself?
There are still things you can do,
Okay.
things like exercise and meditation,
Okay.
whether it's yoga, a brisk walk, a quiet moment of mindfulness. Those can all release oxytocin.
So it's finding those activities that make you feel good and centered.
Exactly.
Okay.
Even simple things like making eye contact
Yo.
while talking to someone, using a calm and soothing voice, or even singing can promote oxytocin release.
That's why singing in a group feels so good.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's a great way to connect with others.
What about pets?
Oh, pets are fantastic
Yeah.
for boosting oxytocin. Studies have shown that spending time with pets, especially cuddling or playing with them, leads to a rise in oxytocin levels.
Oh, I totally believe that.
Yeah,
Every time I cuddle with my cat, all the stress just melts away.
absolutely. It's like a warm, free dose of oxytocin.
That's a great way to put it. So we've learned a lot about oxytocin today.
We have.
It's not just
Yeah.
about love and bonding.
Mm.
It's also about managing stress,
Mhm.
strengthening our social connections, really improving our well-being.
It really highlights how important positive experiences are for
Yeah.
our overall health.
It's amazing to think that such a tiny molecule can have such a huge impact on how we feel
Yeah.
and how we connect with the world.
It really is remarkable.
It makes you wonder if we can, consciously boost our oxytocin levels. Does that change how we interact with each other?
That's a really interesting question,
Yeah.
and I think it's one that's worth exploring further.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive
Yeah.
into the world of oxytocin. Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure talking about this with you.
Yeah, and hopefully you'll join us next time for another deep dive.
I'll be here.